Hey guys. Over the years, I have come to understand my 10-year journey with ME/CFS so much better. For most of that time, I had no idea what was going on. And even once I fully recovered, I didn't fully get, not even close, why or how I did, or what kept me stuck, or what specifically was helping me over all those years. And I recently put out a video, my first time in many years, just sharing my full recovery story. So if you're interested in hearing what that journey was like for me, I can link it here. It will open up in a new window. Just be waiting for you when you're done. But I've been thinking a lot about this lately. I actually had a night when I couldn't sleep and I was laying awake in bed and just my mind was just going like, what's the most helpful thing that I could put out? Or actually, it wasn't even that. The idea came to me and then I was like, oh my goodness. And all the light bulbs started going off and helping me see sort of like the whole puzzle coming together in my mind. And then I really couldn't sleep because I was so excited about sharing this video with you guys that I didn't even care. So really pumped to share with you something that I think is incredibly helpful because it's great to hear the story. It's great to hear ultimately that works. But the biggest thing that would have helped me would be to see this. And what this is that over my 10 years, there were 3 very distinct moments where I sort of went up a level, meaning I started to feel a little bit better and my symptoms were less intense. But then each time I'd get stuck there, sometimes, often for years. And I wasn't sure why I was stuck and I didn't know how to get past it. And then I'd go up again. And again, I know there were very specific things that got me to that next level, and then very specific things that kept me stuck. And then finally, the pieces of the puzzle that pulled it all together in the end. And quite often, when we share recovery stories, we only talk about that end piece, like, here's what got me to the finish line, but it's not connecting all the puzzle pieces. So if you only hear that one specific part, you might think, okay, I've done that, or I'm doing that, but I'm still not fully there. So right now in this video, I'm going to break down for you specifically, clearly, the 3 places where I got stuck, why I stayed stuck, and then those 3 places where I was able to make progress, and specifically what enabled me to make progress. So this pulls together all of those puzzle pieces in a very simple to visualize way that can help you to look at your own journey and see if these are some of the reasons that are keeping you stuck over the years, and see that bigger picture of the things that can elevate you and ease up symptoms and just make you feel better and get you much more quickly on that path to being fully past this and free, 100% free from chronic symptoms. But first, a big and genuine thank you to Get Healthy UTV for sponsoring this video and helping me to continue to consistently bring you quality content at no cost to you. Get Healthy UTV is a safe, supportive, and affordable way to add more movement into your life, something we know is so important when it comes to supporting your health. Whether it's like a gentle morning stretch or some mindful movement in the evening, finding ways to stay active makes a really big difference. And that's why I am genuinely excited to share this resource with you. So if you're looking for motivating at-home workouts, Get Healthy UTV has an amazing library of classes, everything from like cardio, strength, yoga, bar, walking, HIIT, dance, kettlebell, and so much more. And if you're not there yet, that's okay. You can slowly work your way up. And I love that the workouts are led by certified trainers who know how to keep you safe and keep you moving while making it fun and doable for every fitness level. I've tried the 10-minute daily 50 challenge and the beginner calendar program, and I always finish feeling more energized. Plus, new workouts are added all the time, so there's always something fresh to try. And there's also a great sense of community. So members can join live Q&A sessions with trainers, get helpful advice, and connect with others who are working towards their wellness goals. And here's the best part. The first 1,000 people to join using the link in this description will get a full year of premium membership to Get Healthy UTV for just $1.49 for the year. That's hundreds of workouts for less than the price of a cup of coffee. This member is for new members only, so don't miss out. Check out the link below to join today. All right, so now on to the recovery roadmap. And I'm going to pull out a sketch pad for this because it's going to be the easiest way to show you places where you can get stuck, and then the things that can pull you out of those places. It'll be just something for you to visualize when you're thinking about your own recovery journey and see what places this perhaps applies to you and how you can use it to propel your recovery journey forward and not get stuck for hopefully as long as I did. Or maybe it's been longer for you, and that's okay. But these are things to help you really catapult things in the right direction. So even when I was in it, I could tell that my recovery journey was taking a very specific path. I didn't understand what was happening, but I knew there were places where I get stuck, and then I'd jump up and I'd get a little bit better, and then I get stuck again. And then I got to this place here where I am now, which is full recovery. And you'll notice I put this higher than where I started. That is not an error with my drawing. This is life pre-CFS. And this is life beyond, which is definitely, I'm in a much better place emotionally, physically, every way possible than I was before I got into this. Really, realistically, this should be like way up there. My little sketch pad isn't big enough. Okay, so let's look at like, why was I stuck in these places? And what got me up here? And we also know that the recovery journey is a little bit more like up and down, like a stock market graph. It's not this kind of perfectly linear. And, these are probably be a bit more slanted. It wasn't like overnight I was there. But just for simplicity, because this would be a nightmare to look at if I tried to put in all the ups and downs, it would be impossible. So if you zoomed out and you took away all those little ups and downs, this is generally what it looked like. So here I thought life was good. I was healthy, busy, working, married, traveling, just going nonstop, and thought I was very healthy, worked out all the time, obsessed over my diet, counted my calories, weighed myself daily, tracked everything. And then I got this virus, a really bad flu that took me down and took me way down eventually, and ended up being, this was my CFS diagnosis. And at the time I understood it that really I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was. Clearly there was a lot of problematic things in my body, this perfect storm waiting to just erupt, and this virus somehow set it off. And now I had a zillion things in my body that I was now aware of that were broken, and then I needed to fix. So right now, right here, I could put 100 things that I did. We all know, we all go through the whole journey, but it was like supplements, prescriptions, hormone replacement therapy. It was, working on my diet, dramatically changing that, thinking that that was going to fix everything. It was trying to individually get at all the different broken things in my body and fix them each one by one with their own pill, their own hormone, and their own whatever it was, diet change that was going to fix that. And I really wasn't getting anywhere. I was spending all this money. I was doing all of this stuff, and it just stayed. In reality, I actually was going down here before I came up. But then I did definitely bump up. And I know now, we understand. At the time, I didn't think it was connected, but now, there's science to back this. These specific things that I did, even though on the surface didn't look like healing, really did make a big difference. So I was in a very stressful career. I was working as a social worker, and I felt I was terrible at it. It was a stressful job. I was really hard on myself. I had a lot of anxiety around this job. I'd been doing it for quite a few years. And so eventually I quit. So I got to walk away from that really, really stressful, high anxiety job. And then I also was in a marriage that had not been good for me for some time. So I got out of a relationship that wasn't good for me as well. And I also started going to therapy. I found an amazing therapist, and she helped me with a lot of things. So we can see here, we now know that what I was doing in this moment that was helping, the key things were I were decreasing stress and I was increasing alignment. And we now know that living a life that's out of alignment with a life that you want to be living puts a lot of strain on your system. It's, walking through life, putting on a mask, pretending that everything's okay when it's not. It's a lot of anxiety. It's a lot of pushing emotions down. It's a lot of just not processing things and just carrying a lot of a load around. So those things elevated me up here. So this was a big jump upwards. But then I got stuck here again. And just to help break up this timeline to give it some context, this was married life. We'll call this part just generally. And then divorce life. So now I moved back home with my dad into my childhood home. So this was this phase. And I did not get any better during this phase. And I see now that there were specific things that at the time I thought were byproducts of my condition, but really they were things that were very directly tied to it and keeping me stuck there. So I was very depressed. Understandably, anyone would be who's going through this. Like many people who go through this sort of condition, I was very isolated. So I didn't have relationships. I didn't have community. I didn't have that connection. I had my dad, but he was also in a really not good place and very depressed. My mom had recently passed away and there was just a lot going on. So we were sort of a terrible combo to be together. We were both, I'm sure, feeling all of these things. And I had tried all of these things to get better. Everything I felt that existed, I thought I had tried. And this little bit of progress was all I had made, even though I now know it had nothing to do with this stuff. So I felt completely hopeless. I thought this was going to be me for the rest of my life, which was terrifying. But then I had another jump upwards, which again was more like a gradual line up to here, I'd say. But eventually got me to a place where I was about 70% recovered, I'd say, which still meant I had a ton of symptoms. It still meant every day was hard. I still was in that push-crush cycle, very symptomatic, lots of post-exertional malaise, but I was better and I was functional. So what I did is, in a desperate attempt to just keep myself alive, because my depression was so bad, I knew I had to do something. I just went out and searching for joy. And I got on a plane to Southeast Asia. I still don't know how, because I was still very symptomatic. But I just needed to see if there was a way to find any happiness left in this life, because I really had none. So there were 3 specific things at this point that brought me up gradually up to that 70% place. And a big one is that I got out of all of this and I started focusing on joy. It was my number one thing. What's going to make me happy? It was just like a child. Like, I want to do this. I want to do that. So I did it. And I also, after a couple years of obsessively trying to fix myself, I quit. I stopped all the supplements. I stopped everything. So I was no longer trying to fix myself. And also, I decided that I didn't want to talk about chronic fatigue syndrome anymore. It had become my entire identity. So the first entire year, I didn't mention it once. I didn't mention symptoms. I didn't mention being ill. So I didn't talk about my illness at all, which took focus off of symptoms. Not completely. I wasn't there yet, but it helped. So we definitely know that, the things that were that help people get unstuck and move forward is, stop fixing. Sounds counterintuitive, but every break you take from trying to fix yourself and instead focus on living and on the things that find you joy is a message of safety to your nervous system. So this was a massive step in the right direction. Giving up, who knew? And then joy, yay. What tells your nervous system better than anything else that everything's okay than you smiling and being happy and having fun? And then just, it was not completely gone, but less focus on, symptoms. So this also got me out of a plateau of stuckness into my next level. But then I stayed stuck here for years. I was here and I was much better, but every day was still very hard, very much in that push-crush cycle. Very much struggling. And during this place, I still thought that my body was broken, which feels hard to fix on my own, not being a physician. I still had a lot of fear, tons of fear around symptoms, even though I wasn't talking about them. And I also had a fear basically of life, of so much of it. Like everything in life could make me feel bad. And I started, associating so many things with getting worse. And I still had a fixation on CFS, on the illness. Every day was just, how am I going to survive this day? When am I going to get my rest in? How am I going to, hide the days or however long of massive symptom flares where I couldn't get out of bed. So it was still all revolving around in survival mode, like very much everything was dangerous and hard and I had to figure it out. And then I finally got out of this last place, which is where a lot of people get stuck. Like you're pretty functional, but you're still not doing great. And there were 3 specific things that I did here that got me through the final stretch. So nobody taught me this. I don't know how I figured it out, but I finally realized that to get better, I was going to have to occasionally feel worse. That getting stronger, I equated it with strength at the time, but just being able to do more in life meant that I was going to have more symptoms come up, and that was okay. That there was no way that I was going to get better without occasionally feeling worse. So for the first time ever, I accepted my symptoms. I reacted to them without fear. I was just like, yeah, they're here. I don't love it, but it's okay. It doesn't mean I'm getting worse. And I could actually see that the symptoms coming up meant that I was getting better. And I also realized that I had to, I'd been staying in my safe zone for a long time, and I had to start expanding activity. I had to start pushing those boundaries. And I had to start slowly resuming normal activity. Hard to talk and write at the same time. And that was the path to getting better. And every time I did this, I was going to get more symptoms for a bit. That's okay. But then they'd go away, and then I'd be able to do it even more. And it took more and more and more to bring on those symptoms. And then the last one, this was a big one, is that I realized I had to start dealing with my emotions. I had to look at the things I'd been carrying around since childhood. I had to look at the things I was pushing down about myself that I didn't want to see, the shame I was carrying, the anger I was carrying from so many different things that happened in my life. And the biggest way I did this, I call it the Unpack the Ugly journaling. And it's because I call it that because, it's really looking at the parts that you think are too scary to allow them to see the light of day. So what are those, shameful things that you push down? Or what are those things from your past that you don't want to think about or visit because it's too uncomfortable, it's too scary? So had to really look at all of those pieces. So those are the biggest pieces that got me to this place here, which is now 6+ years of being chronic symptom-free, sustainable recovery with symptoms that are gone, aren't coming back, popping their heads up. Those chronic symptoms are just gone. So we see this last phase was things we talk about a lot. And quite often we can look at this piece and think it's the whole puzzle, right? Or we look at just this piece, or we look at just this piece. But this last section was that, neutral response to symptoms. And it was living again, getting out of that safe zone and starting to do stuff. And it was dealing with your emotions, feeling them, giving them space, giving them acknowledgement that they are there. And this brought me back up to the final place. And it's easy to see those things that kept me stuck now, so here it was looking at physical interventions and rest. I really thought rest was going to get me better here. And I rested and rested and rested. And, here there was that fear and that hopelessness, just kind of giving up, like, this is my life now. There's no purpose for my life. Do I even want to live? And then from here, it was still that focus on structural issues. We're still fixating on everything that was wrong and then having so much fear around symptoms and life. So those kept me stuck. These got me out. If you can work to eliminate these three and increase these three, this is a roadmap to recovery. And let me know in the comments because I guarantee this doesn't cover it all. So, what is there from your journey that you see now has kept you stuck? Or what are the things that have helped to move you forward, move that needle towards full recovery? Because we've each got our own puzzle pieces. And when we put them all together, this is what I love about all the recovery interviews I do and all the experts I get to speak to, because every one of them I pull a new piece from it. And it's from all of that that I've put this recovery roadmap together from all of that. But guaranteed there's more stuff. So I would love to hear it. And the great thing is that these days, virtually everything you need to recover is available for free online in various formats. You can search my YouTube videos, my newsletters, Instagram, all the things that I put out, and virtually everything that I have to offer is there. But if you'd like something that is more structured, if you want something that's more, served up on a platter, I have a course, Brain Retraining 101 for ME/CFS and long COVID recovery. And you can do it in about 30 days with short daily videos. And there is weekly support. There are group coaching calls, including group coaching calls with me. I'd love to get to meet you. And there is also a supportive community that you're connected to that gets it and cheers you on and are so insightful, like so many of us are, and we all learn from each other. So if you're at a place where you're feeling like, I could use some extra support right now, or maybe there are a couple more things that I could learn or some insights that I still don't have, I'd love to see you come join the course. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the course.